guys. So I came across a little video, interview between Matt Gaetz and Sarah Palin. And then they were talking about basically how they worry that what's going on right now could lead to civil war in America. And it hits me how they always end with that. And I'm at the point now in my mind that if you're Republican and you're advocating civil war, it won't work because we've been at war with people who didn't want to do what we said for the last 20 years on the basis of a lie. And if we can fight people who have been fighting the Russians and fighting for hundreds of years, they can deal with a redneck with some 30 rifle in the woods somewhere, some pot-bellied old farmer. I know people talk about how they can be like insurgents. You don't know what the military's been doing, how they take over areas and they would do biometric type IDs and they'd give IDs to everybody in the community. You couldn't go in or out. They have, like I've said it before, they could shut down the interstates. There's things they could do. They could make a lot of areas hurt if the government wanted to. There's ways without violence, with the drones, with you don't have to be running Bradley tanks down the road. You don't have to be kicking doors in. I know there's Republicans always make it about they're going to take the guns away and stuff like that. But if the government wanted to take action against insurrectionary activity, they could do it very easily, shutting off cell towers. There's a lot of ways. And I say it all the time that I think Americans are too weak. I do. And maybe in a few areas you could do that a few areas that nobody cares about. I think Americans are too weak. That's what COVID showed me, is how weak America really is. I think that, especially with the video games and everything now, that if you shut this stuff off, these kids will start talking. And see, so Trump didn't understand. If you are a fascist, or if you are engaged in criminal activity, you're engaging in, mass terrorism, everybody got to be on the same page. If they're not, they could be turned by the feds. Trump didn't get that. Trump had people in the White House that were not right wing. And in a normal society, it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't need everybody to be on the same page because you're like, look, like the West Wing, I just want to have the best government there is. I'm not here to break laws, but I want to make a better world. And if you want a better world, then, let's go on into the night. Let's put in work. Instead, if you're a fascist and you're committing illegal activities, everyone has to be on the same page. If they're not, they'll turn. And one thing we saw with January the 6th, a lot of people that got, picked up, it was their kids. It was their families. It wasn't the FBI. It wasn't top secret technology we don't know about. It wasn't camera footage. It was the FBI. I mean, it was the families. It was sons. It was mothers that were like, I don't support you going into the Capitol. I don't support, you doing what you did. And, that to me really hit me of just the importance of the little people when it comes to this kind of stuff. We don't have to have everybody on board. When you had that case in Idaho where the guys were going to go down to the Pride rally or something, they had permits and everything, and the guys were having a U-Haul, and they were going to run down there with like helmets and shields and riot gear and stuff and just start shit. And someone called the cops, and they got stopped. It takes little things like that. Little things like that can avert things before they happen. And I think that if you had a concerted effort of violence from the right, I think it would seek to really delegitimize the party as a whole, which is going to happen anyway. But I think that right there would really ruin them long term. I think it would. I think that for the right, they don't even care about that. They don't even get that like Mitt Romney said the other day, that you don't see policy, you're not putting forward policy. I saw a gentleman, Mark, Huckabee. Huckabee was talking about how, they want us to start a civil war. He said that in fascist countries they go after people. You have political arrest, political imprisonment. Who told Trump to take top secret documents out of the White House in regards to war plans for Iran, other countries? Who told Trump to make that call to Georgia? Nobody. He's responsible. I said it before that to me, Fox and the right wing, media is an echo chamber, and you really got to be ignorant and stupid and completely ignorant of the law to watch 5 seconds of it. You do. That the notion that these actions Trump took, and we learned more, the FBI didn't even want to go down to Mar-a-Lago. They didn't even want to go down there. Trump lied multiple times and didn't want to cooperate. He told people, these are my documents. That's what he said. He said that he declassified them. And now we know Mark Meadows, his chief of staff, and the vice president both said they didn't know anything about that. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. You declassified it in your own mind. And if, I know it isn't the truth, but if it was the case the president could do that, that means we have to change something about that. That's not what a democracy should be. You can just take stuff out willy-nilly at will. Some things should be secret. Some things aren't public to know. Trump, I think he showed top secret maps or something to some lady that was like a Republican high-level RNC person, and what Kid Rock said that Trump asked him to do about North Korean, what's his name, the dictator over there, Kim. It's just like, man, like, how do you see any of these things and say, I'm confident in Trump? Like, I get it that Trump support is really a sort of concentrated selfishness and a sort of viciousness towards the least among us. It's a sort of like using more violence upon the least among us. Like, I understand that, what Trumpism really is about it's fascism. And it's revangism for the past. We've talked about it before with Nixon and the hard hat riots, that you had the police stand by and folks came in and beat people up. You saw that with Nixon, So it's not unheard of you have social progress and then it's like, no, we're gonna wreck it, we're gonna destroy it. I think that that notion is it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous, and I think that honestly, it makes the Republican Party look illegitimate to even make the kind of argument that they're making, that somehow through violence, you know what I learned with the Josh Hawley book, the book he wrote, is it really, they hate America. They do. They hate America. They hate the fact that the things that years ago would have garnered votes, they don't have anymore. Racism, homophobia, things of that nature. They can't do those things. The actions of division are not as accessible to them now as they once were. And so they hate America. They love an America that's in the past that I never knew, but they hate America. Very much so. I just believe that it's stochastic terrorism. You're saying one moment that civil war is bad, but then you're like always advocating for it, kind of. I don't know.